Hello and welcome to your daily dose of Satoshi's news. Today's day is Thursday, the 11th of September 2025, the year BSV comes alive. Branch your threads, expand your mind with treechat.ai or your post put on chain. Right, let's see what we've got today. We're going to have to go through CSW's thread. Honestly, the guy is churning out some just absolutely phenomenal stuff. There's a couple of posts here, specific ones that I've chosen that I'm going to go through. We've got a post here from the BSVA. Going to have to talk about what happened yesterday to Charlie Kirk. Absolutely devastating, but it looks like he was literally assassinated by the Secret Service. We'll just mention J.D. Rockefeller's Secret Covenant. We've got to talk about that. Then we'll have a quick look at the figures. Got some 365 days of Bitcoin history. And then we'll finish with a Kellenschweller countdown. Right, let's get into it.
Satoshi, like a cowboy in the West, riding on the blockchain that they call the very best. 1 million strong, and transactions flying free. Just wait for the Terra node, you'll surely see.
Here we go. Right, looks like CSW has pinned another tweet, and this time he's responding to the picture that Banksy. Well, I don't know if they tried to paint over it or get rid of it. But he's says this is what Banksy put on the Raw Courts of Justice. He said, "The wall is cleaner now, scrubbed with the self-righteous hand of bureaucracy. The powers that be thought they were erasing, thought they thought they were sanitizing, but the act itself, this erasure, this blunt hammer of order, became the art. Banksy once fed his own work into a shredder, turning destruction into a spectacle, the annihilation of image into immortality. Here's the Department of Justice, in its dull grey wisdom, plays the same role. The judicial system killed the original. They sterilised the canvas, and in so doing, they birthed the ghost that screamed louder than the paint. The irony drips like cheap whiskey in a cracked glass." He loves his metaphors, doesn't he? They're really quite good, actually. The irony drips like cheap whiskey in a cracked glass. Love it. What was once a subversive stencil is now a phantom crime scene, etched in negative space. It is the state itself swinging the axe, blind to the theatre of its gesture. They've become unwilling collaborators. The shredder is not hidden in the frame. It is the state apparatus, wielding its bleach and solvent-like weapons, and accidentally leaving behind the most honest mural yet. Art is not pigment on stone. It is a message. It is defiance. It is the echo that survives when authority tries to silence it. And the Department of Justice, in its clumsy attempt to destroy, has shouted its message across the wall. The power consumes, and in consuming creates. The absurdity is complete. The law has painted its own satire, a shadow play of violence against what it cannot control. And that is the true joke. Bitter and perfect, they tried to wipe the slate clean. Instead, they became the artist. Absolutely spot on. CSW knows well what is going on. And check this out. He said, "The People versus Banksy trademark and other decorative crimes breaking." This is satire here. MP Gibber Hales restore order, and Dumpfer trademarks the Thames. Meanwhile, Marge strolls off into Westminster rain, leaving paw prints that look suspiciously like a better mural than Banksy's ever dared. Looks like he's made this from AI. Graffiti beige and bureaucrats. How Britain declared victory over nothing. Britain has restored order. Trademark Thames. Non-fungible justice. Beige Britain. Alright. Then check this one out. He said, "He who shall not be named. I am now the boogeyman they whisper about when the seams start to split and the varnish peels off their painted temple. They reinvent me as a spectre from Thailand, clutching their pearls as they mutter about destruction and shadows in the ledger. And in that panic, they do the thing they always do, point fingers, cry wolf, and stumble over their own contradictions. The comedy writes itself. They built this brittle monument on sand, called it immutable, then shriek when someone points out the tide. They thought they had engineered permanence. What they really engineered was dependency, fragility, dressed as strength. And when the cracks show, they don't blame the design, they blame the phantom, the outsider, the faceless villain. He who shall not be named becomes their excuse, their shield against admitting the obvious. The rot is internal. This is the parody of their so-called digital gold, a coin that can be mocked into weakness, a system where a single rumour of corruption, a single spectre in the dark, sends a faithful stampede to the exits. If art is a mirror, then this monument is their Banksy shredder. They've become the performance, their fear, the punchline. Let them mutter about Thailand, about demons conjured from smoke. The truth is simpler and sharper. BTC collapses under the weight of its own hypocrisy, and the ghost they fear most isn't Banksy, it's their own reflection. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it looks like Bitcrasher's copied and pasted an image here of someone's BTC block something, saying some dude from Thailand is going to short BTC, then upload 1000 CSAM images and make bank and destroy BTC. It's too late. I just sold all my BTC. It was a good run. And Luke Dash Jr. said he can't unless people upgrade to Core 30. Let's avoid that. It's hilarious what's going on. Literally the finger of blame going to be pointed all over the place. Yeah, this is great. Honestly, CSW, honestly, a poet, and we didn't know it until now. Until now. It's brilliant. Let's see what this is. Did I read this bit already? He said, here stands a paradox on stone. A painting, clever, sharp, biting, and undeniably filled with merit. It strikes the eyes as art. It should provoke thought. Unsettles and declares itself loudly in the face of power. It is, in essence, speech in its most primal, unfiltered form. One cannot deny the validity of such expression, and yet one must also confront the fact that it was done upon a surface not its own. The wall is public property, and that's where the matter tangles. To say it is art is true. To say it is vandalism is equally true. What complicates the question is ownership, and ownership is the axis upon which freedom spins. The right to speak does not include the right to seize another's platform. A book is not yours because you have something brilliant to scribble in its margins. A home is not yours because you have a mural aching to be born across its living room wall. And yet here is a public property which belongs to no one and therefore everyone. The wall does not stand as the canvas of a private man, nor does it exist solely for the convenience of a bureaucrat. It belongs in its cold legality to the public sphere, a sphere already littered with signs, slogans, decrees and notices. If the state can paste its symbols across every street, why should not the artist leave his? I'm torn not in weakness but in recognition of contradiction. To celebrate it unreservedly is to endorse theft of a platform. To condemn it outright is to deny the highest use of public space, the free voice of the individual. The image is vandalism, yes, but it is also truth carved in paint, and perhaps the most damning indictment lies not in the act itself, but in the fact that the walls of the court are more honoured by this flash of vision than by the hollow words spoken inside them. Absolutely. Absolutely. CSW absolutely nails it. I mean, I almost feel like it's... I mean, all these posts that he writes, these need to be recorded. They're that good. They're that good, and there's so much of them. Is literally like writing his own Bible, like the Bitcoin Bible is what this is. Like, it's incredible. It's incredible. All right, and let's read this post here. He says, Silicon Valley will never love Bitcoin. They will stroke it in its thin pieces. Stroke it in its thin pieces. Fetishize in its conferences and whisper about blockchain innovation in keynote slides, but the reality is simple. Their cathedral burns if direct payment ever works. The entire Silicon Valley empire is built on the holy seal of advertising, the sacred altar of eyeballs and impressions, of click-throughs and surveillance packaged as innovation. They do not sell products, they sell you. The more dependent you are, the more profitable. Your attention is the crop, your identity the soil, and your time the fertilizer. They are not merchants, they are not landlords of digital serfdom. Bitcoin, the real system, breaks this. It is not a pilot disruption. a polite disruption, it is hearsay. Direct payments mean anyone at any scale can exchange value without the priesthood of venture capitalists deciding whether your shrine is worthy. No need for the indulgences of advertisers, no kneeling before a walled garden. A blog could charge a cent, a musician could sell a track instantly, a coder could be paid for one line of code. The internet, unshackled, would look less like a plantation and more like a bazaar. That terrifies them, because what Silicon Valley sells is not technology but monopoly. Their dream is not an open field but a fenced estate. They decide who grazes, they decide who eats. Their innovation is simply the privilege of deciding who gets to speak, who gets to earn, who gets to exile, who gets to exit online. Their so-called community guidelines are just the velvet rope of monopoly, dressed up as moral authority. The ad model ensures that survival depends on pleasing the gatekeeper. Say the wrong thing, build the wrong thing, and you vanish. Direct payments obliterate that power. If value flows directly, there is no ad auction to manipulate, no favoured child to promote, no trusted partner list to curate. Anyone can come, anyone can go. The barrier to entry is the will to build. That is what they cannot stand. This is not the code they fear, it is the competition. And here is the bitter irony. They will call Bitcoin dangerous for enabling crime, when what they mean is dangerous for enabling freedom. They model requirements you to be trapped in their field, fenced, tagged and milked. Bitcoin says walk away, set up shop in your own terms, compete without permission. There is the monopoly of the shepherd. Bitcoin is the wolf that leaps the fence, and in their heart they know it. That's why they will never love it. They can only try to contain it, strangle it and pretend it is irrelevant, because if it breathes freely, their plantation dies. That is huge. That is huge. He knows it. And that was in response to him saying, final insult. The industry will say that this is naive, of course they will. The river calls the bridge a dreamer, but the bridge carries trucks and the river carries opinions. We have carried opinions long enough. The money that matters isn't the cartoon, it's the 2 cents that move when a human blinks. A system that makes those 2 cents fly at scale, with receipts, without the priesthood, doesn't need adoration or apes. It needs lanes, rules and little courage. You want to know why they're against it? Because if cash works, you won't need them. And if you don't need them, they're reduced to what they've always been, middlemen in search of a middle. Build the rail and watch them scatter to the margins where services belong. The rest of us have groceries to buy, paragraphs to sell, and a world to pay for, one honest packet at a time. You're absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. He also said governments will never like Bitcoin. The state may tolerate the carnival of casinos, the endless wheel of tokens and Ponzi's masquerading as progress, because casinos are easy to tax, easy to watch, and above all easy to infiltrate. But the one thing they cannot abide is a system that strips away their favoured mechanism of control, the banks. Banks are not financial institutions. Banks are deputized agents of the state. They are the toll booths of life. Absolutely. You want to earn? You need an account. You want to eat? You need an account. You want to breathe in polite society? You need their blessing in the form of a card and a pin. And those banks have a simple relationship with government. Obedience. They file the report. They enforce the sanctions. They freeze the accounts. They are panopticon in pinstripes, smiling as they hand you your very own digital leash. Now imagine a world where a person can transact without that leash. Imagine a farmer sending money directly to a supplier across the globe, with no bank officer in the middle, nodding permission. Imagine a journalist paid instantly for work that the governments would prefer remain unpublished. Imagine small businesses rising not because they begged for a loan, but because they earned directly coin by coin, customer by customer. That is what terrifies them. Freedom is not their goal, control is. The governments dress it in noble robes, anti-money laundering, counter-terrorism financing, protecting the financial system. But what it means in practice is simple. They want to know everything, stop anything, and push everyone who steps out of punish everyone who steps out of line. Banks give them this power. Bitcoin removes it. And here lies the irony. They will allow the spectacle of speculation, the crypto casino, because it is harmless theatre. As long as people are gambling, they're not building. As long as people are chasing the next token, they're not threatening the banking cartel. Casinos are distractions, safe containment zones for rebellion. But a functioning system of direct payments, that is the insurrection. That is the disobedience at scale. That is society slipping the leash. So of course governments will never like Bitcoin. They will fight it, smear it, twist it, outlaw it, permit every sideshow but never the main act. Because their power rests not on governing people but on governing the gates to people's money. And Bitcoin has the audacity to kick the gates down. Oh yeah, look at that, sounding like an absolute rebel there. Sounding like an absolute rebel. You know, sounding like the initial BTC tards themselves. You know, playing their own trumpet back at them. Brilliant. Brilliant is what that is. Love it. And if you're reading between the lines of what he's saying, it sounds to me like it's coming soon. That's my take on it anyway. BSV Association says here, at BSVA we're proud to be part of the EU4 Advice Writing Office, contributing to the essential conversations and working towards smarter, more resilient food systems. When C-19 disrupted global supply chains, many EU regions turned to local producers to keep food flowing. Accelerating the growth and visibility of short food supply chains across Europe. EU4 Advice explores how SFSC, that's short food supply chains, are helping communities weather global shocks from pandemics to climate disruptions. They're proving to be more than just a trend, they're a necessity. I'll read more. Join us at Viv MEA. That sounds great. Loving that. Might give them a follow. Excellent. Loving that. Loving that. Right, we've got to talk about this. This was absolutely devastating. So this was Charlie Kirk defending freedoms and the right to an opinion, the right to speak freely. And point 5 in Rockefeller's secret covenant said, when a light shall shine amongst them, we shall extinguish it by ridicule or death, whichever suits us best. And this is what happened to him. So look at this guy in the cap. He makes a signal. Another guy, the Secret Service, steps forward, makes a signal with her, and that's when the shot goes off.
How many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great. Do you know how many mass...
And that was literally just before the shot went off. So this guy tweaks his hat,
shooters there have been in
rubs his nose.
In America over the last 10 years.
Counting or not counting?
This guy steps forward. Pulls his arm out, touches his bicep, moves his arm down. Look at that.
Violence.
There we go. Down, gives him the signal, and that's when the shot goes off. Absolutely heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. But again, I mean, you need to look at Rockefeller's secret covenant and just see how just utterly dystopian it is. Look, we will always stand above them in their relative field of experience, for we know the secrets of the absolute. We will work together always and will remain bound by blood and secrecy. Death will come to he who speaks. We will keep their lifespan short and their minds weak while pretending to do the opposite. We will use our knowledge of science and technology in subtle ways that they will never see what's happening. We will use soft metals, aging accelerators and sedatives in food and water, also in the air. They will be blanketed by poisons everywhere they turn. The soft metals will cause them to lose their minds. That's what's going on at the moment. We will promise to find a cure from our fronts, yet we will feed them more poison. Sounds like the pharmaceutical industry to me. The poisons will be absorbed through their skin and their mouths. They will destroy their minds and reproductive systems. And again, we've seen it. The birth rate's absolutely, literally plummeting at the moment. For all this, their children will be born dead, and we will conceal this information. And again, that's what's going on at the moment. All these stillbirths and, early miscarriages that's going on. The poisons will be hidden in everything that surrounds them, in what they drink, eat, breathe and wear. Yep, toxic clothing and everything. We must be ingenious in dispensing the poisons, for they can see far. We will teach them that the poisons are good, with fun images and musical tones. Again, just look at all these big food companies and drinks manufacturers, Those they look up to will help. We will enlist them to push our poisons. They will see our products used in film and will grow accustomed to them and will never know their true effects. Again, you know, because it's all science and chemicals and all that. When they give birth, we will inject poison into the blood of their children and convince them it's for their health. Where have we heard that before? Keir Starmer just gave a speech on that, said it wasn't true. We'll start early on. We'll start early on when their minds are young, affecting them when they're children. We will target their children with what children love most: sweet things. When their teeth decay, we will fill them with metals that will kill their mind and steal their future. So again, what he's talking about is autism there. I mean, it's absolutely horrific. Absolutely horrific. But this is where it comes to Bitcoin. Look. And the Constitution, we will deceive them into accepting laws that will steal the little freedom they will have. We will establish a money system that will imprison them forever, keeping them and their children in debt. When they shall band together, we shall accuse them of crimes and present a different story to the world, for we shall own all the media. We will use our media to control the flow of information and the sentiment in our favour. When they shall rise up against us, we shall crush them like insects, for they are less than that. They will be helpless to do anything, for they will have no weapons. And again, that's what they're doing, disarming us. I mean, it's absolutely horrific. And that's why they were able to get away with what they've done so far. Will we wake up in time? That's the question. Bitcoin is the only hope we have. So talking about Bitcoin, let's get into these figures then. So look, genuine Bitcoin, just $26. $26. Transactions, 52% of the entire market across all the Bitcoin forks there. Block size, 91%. Beautiful, some really juicy blocks have been coming through here today. 68,000 times cheaper to transact on Bitcoin than Gregcoin. Mining Bitcoin at a 13% comparable loss. Again, the profitability is being very carefully managed. Let's have a quick look at the politics in the pie chart. Oh, look at that. Daily Bitcoin transactions by network creeping up. Transactions per block by network creeping up. Loving that. Loving that. So Greycoin hash rate, other miners 6.94, Bcrash other miners 8.7, and Fisher price cash. Look, other miners 65%. And like I said, I've seen this on Gregcoin. I've literally seen other miners with like 70% of Gregcoin. It's absolutely massive. Look at this. The transactions are going up 730. Oh, so just refresh that page. 722,252 transactions in the last 24 hours. So that is now in third place in the overall chart. Oh no, it's in second. It's in second place behind Ethereum, the big dog. Look at that. A coin that is literally ranked in the 100 in market cap is second in the entire market in utility. Second to Ethereum, that's got a $500 billion market cap. 500 billion. Half a trillion. Compared to Bitcoin here, that's only like, was it 500 million? Half a billion? It's nowhere near at 500 billion. And yet it's second in the market cap. It's second in the marketplace in utility. Pfft, those who know will know. Oh, yeah. Right, let's go on to some 365 days of Bitcoin history. So obviously yesterday we've got now Charlie Kirk in there, 10th of September 2025. Freedom activist and Christian believer Charlie Kirk was fatally shot on the campus of Utah Valley University, leaving behind a wife and 2 young children. Absolutely devastating, and all he was trying to do was look after their future. You know, it's these Satanists that have got rid of him. And again, it was a Satanist that did this as well. The 11th of September 2001. And again, 1911. That was the year the US government took J.D. Rockefeller's Standard Oil Company off him. That's why they did it then. That's why the emergency number of 911 was started in 1968 when the first groundstone was laid for the Twin Towers. You know? Look at that. They think an aeroplane did that to one of the steel structured beams on the ground floor. Pfft, what an absolute joke. Absolute joke. I hope these Satanists guess what's coming to them. And also check this out on the 11th of September 2001. The untold story of the deadly 9/11 hurricane in New York that disappeared. Not a peep in the news because they needed focus on the event. Any New York evacuation would have ruined everything. This is amazing, this one. For anybody who hasn't seen it, we'll play it right now. Here we go.
There's one simple vision hack anyone can use to improve.
far up the dust went, and then I looked at some weather satellite maps, and I saw this. Hurricane Aaron. It's a Category 3 hurricane that was heading towards New York City for 4 days prior to 9/11. It had been around for a lot longer than that, but it made a beeline to New York City for 4 days straight. What is really weird is that we didn't really hear much about it. How can they be 100% sure when and where that thing's going to turn around? A flight attendant who flew out of Boston that morning contacted me after he saw this on my website and said, "We never were told about that." It was right at the end of Long Island, and it was also raining on Cape Cod from the outer bands of the hurricane. And you can't evacuate however many millions of people live in Manhattan. It wasn't zero reporting, it was well underreported. And you know that weather stations love to milk him for all they can get. They, dramatize the hurricane's coming, are you ready, are you ready? And everybody gets excited about it. This went without a mention.
Now, the unusual thing is that on the 12th of September, it made a right-hand turn of about 135 degrees and headed off out towards Newfoundland. And during the events of 9/11, between about 8 a.m. in the morning and 5 p.m, it held its position, the atmospheric pressure remained constant, the temperature and wind speed remained almost constant right throughout the events of 9/11. Not only that, readings from magnetometers, which are instruments which measure the strength of the Earth's magnetic field, showed unusual variations in the Earth's magnetic field, again, throughout the events of 9/11.
Absolutely fascinating. So again, it shows you weather manipulation, and what they were using is they were using the hurricane to pretty like a Dyson vacuum cleaner, while the buildings literally turned to dust through, we suspect, like the use of something like direct energy weapons, and they were literally using it like a big Dyson vacuum cleaner. Just because all the evidence of what happened to the structures, like steel turning to dust, are absolutely crazy. Can't happen, But we all know what's going on now. Right, we are now at the 11th of September 2025. We've literally got 1 week left until the Kellenschweller countdown finishes. Remember, hit like, press the subscribe button. You're not going to want to miss all the shenanigans that happen between now and then. It's going to be absolutely epic. So until then, be aware, take care, stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next one.
The king still has one more move.